Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Talking Triathlon, where you guessed it, we talk about triathlon. I'm Tim Ford. That's James Bale. Jimbo, we missed a week last week, and we have to apologise to our dear listeners because I know how they are desperate to hear us talk about triathlon. They had to imagine us talking about it instead last week.
Yeah, we did miss a week. It's very rare. It's very rare we miss a week, but we found ourselves in a situation where we weren't able to record the episode to the standard that we hoped. So we decided to just miss a week and catch up this week, which means we've got more to talk about this week, which is a good thing.
All right, yeah, we're not short of triathlon to talk about this. God, it's such a good name for the podcast. It just covers everything, really. Remember it used to be like the MX Endurance podcast, and I can imagine people going, "What the fuck does this even mean?" Or at least it's like, no, no, literally in the name, what we do on this show. What's been happening, mate?
I've been training. I'm currently, as you can see, I've got a different background as I like to maintain my background changing. I'm in Birmingham, different Birmingham hotel this week for work. Got a couple of meetings I need to go to this week, but I've been training, man. I've been training quite consistently at the moment. I'm kind of I'm in a weird place in my training, if I'm honest. Don't want to go too down that rabbit hole too much, but kind of I came off this. I've been on these drugs for 5 years, these immunosuppressant drugs that kind of ruined 5 years of my life. And I came out the end of that, and I was thinking I was just gonna bounce back to training like the legend I used to be.
Yep.
And it's almost like it's a before and after picture, you know. I'm kind of like dawning on me quite how much I've boiled the frog in that 5 years.
Hmm.
And I'm every time I try and train, I kind of feeling I suddenly haven't got the mask of those drugs anymore to be able to say it's all right. I'll be back to normal when I'm off these drugs. Now I'm off them, and I'm like, oh God, a lot changed in that 5 years between 35 and 40, and now I've got to find my way again, and it's a bit of a struggle, mate, if I'm honest.
No, I definitely feel that. I know that I often, against, I'm 39, and it's very easy to sort of compare myself to similar what I was doing 5 years ago. And I see the program, but yeah, piss, no worries. And then I do it and I'll get through it, but I am ruined for like, I had to do a brick session 2 weeks ago and I looked at it, I'm like, that's going to be really hard, but I'm looking forward to it and nailed it, like absolutely hit it out of the park. I was so confident. And then I was absolutely ruined for 2 days. And I'm like, wow, this is not how I remember it. So yeah, it's certainly a learning curve as you start to creep up in age a little bit. So yeah, just again, that's the thing with endurance sports, right? Is it's just all that little micro, just keep making those little transactions get better and better and better, and then in a year
That's it.
you'll
That's it's I think I just ignored a few things in that because I used those drugs as an excuse to not notice how things were changing and how, I'm carrying a bit more weight than I should be, and I need to get rid of it. And I see those pictures floating around of me doing that 10K every few months they pop up again and give me a slap in the face about quite how many changes I need to make.
I so I was actually meant to be racing this weekend. I've had to. It's been a. I'm sick as a dog, by the way. So everybody, if this is a weird episode, I apologize. I am quite not well, but yeah, I'm flying to. I was meant to be flying to Norway today to do that Challenge Sandefjord on Sunday, and I think Saturday I was like, God, I'm getting a bit tired, like even psychologically just from training. And I looked at my calendar, and I had realized that I had had one rest day in 10 weeks of training, and I'm like, fucking like, yeah, it's good, and like some of the days weren't that hard, but I think psychologically I just realized I needed a day off. Like I was getting a bit sick of exercising, so took the day. And mate, just Monday I was like, oh, I'm not feeling. I got a bit of scratch in my throat. Tuesday, like, oh, that scratch is getting worse. And today I'm like, I am so like last night was absolutely horrific. And the thought of jumping on a plane and flying to Norway from Australia, I just went, I cannot do this. So yeah, I had to and then change flights and everything. So I'm not even going to be able to do the race, which is I'm so sick of it. Like I have missed so many races in the last 12 months. And like I'm actually in really good form and everything. I was quite keen to go and have a crack. And it's like just typical that this stuff comes up. And anyway, people
When's
don't
the
probably care.
next race?
I don't
When's
even
the
have.
races that really matter?
I don't even know, mate, to be honest. The back end of the year is pretty hectic for me with travel. And I mean, I'm doing a half marathon in Singapore in December, but that doesn't really count. I'm, yeah, I don't know. I've really got to sort of sit down and work this out because I need to get back into the swing of racing more regularly. And yeah, I need to try to find some events just to have a bit of fun with it as well. So it's a bit
Yeah.
frustrating, but
I'm thinking, I'm toying with because you know how much I hate swimming. I've just
I didn't know
fucking
you
done
hated
it.
it. I used to like it. So
I used to like it. I used to do it a lot. I did it every day when I was a child. I've almost PTSD'd it away from me. But my local pool, which is an amazing pool, 9 meter, 50, 9 lane, 50 meter pool, they've made it nigh on impossible now for normal human beings to swim because there are no weekday morning sessions for the general public. There are no weekday evening sessions for the general public. The only sessions they have for the general public now are between 11 and 12 in the day or something like that, and then between 12 and 1 at the weekends. So if you've got commitments, meetings,
why is
a
it so
job, an
hard?
existence, I don't know, but
What do they use it for?
they
Is it just for like people
it's
mucking around
mainly
or?
for the local college to do all its swim training. It was
Mm,
built by lottery funding, and they had a commitment to make sure it was available for the general public to as
swim?
part of that. And so they have done, but they've done it they've over the years they've just sneakily moved it and moved it and moved it until eventually it's nigh on impossible to swim there now. So yeah, fuck you, Kelly College. Um, but so I've just nigh on given up on the idea of swimming. So I'm thinking I might start doing a few duathlons, mate.
I think you should.
Just
Yeah,
bike running.
I did get my news that I didn't get a slot for London next year. So there's that. Yeah, I do like how they talk about things where you hear somebody talk about something that's very difficult to wrap your head around because it's so foreign to you. And this isn't unique to you, but I just like I hear you talk about the fact that you've got like this one pool nearby. I can honestly, within a 15-minute drive of my house, I've got one, two, three, four, five, six. I've got 7 50-meter pools within 15-minute drive of my house. And like there's no issue getting a lane. The Olympic pool at where the Olympics were in 2000, yeah, you've got to be a little bit more strategic with your timing. But every other pool, it's just permanently ready for laps. Fast, medium, slow, maybe two of each. I honestly, it's so weird to me to hear that other parts of the world struggle with
It
getting in a pool
might
just because
be
it's so
the
easy here.
only 50-meter pool in my county, to be honest.
Wow. Literally,
There
there's
are really, there's one 25-meter pool nearby that has only got 2 lanes roped off sometimes. And even if it is set up like that, there's just too many people in there to even try and consider doing consistent swimming. So no, I mean nigh on impossible.
I'm lucky because the lifeguards know me because we got an outdoor 50 which is freezing at the moment because it's winter and indoor 25 so I'm swimming in the 25-meter pool at the moment and the lifeguards and this isn't I've never said anything I've not whatever but if I get in the pool and I hop in the fast lane they'll tell people to get out of the fast lane unless they're swimming fast enough. So it's quite funny now where they like help me. So I have very few problems. But anyway, people don't care about pool talk. They care about triathlon talk. If you want to hear triathlon talk that doesn't go in the regular feed, like the recent bonus episode we recorded where we drafted or we discussed Super Try basically, head to patreon.com/talking triathlon. That was a good, fun episode to record, real to life, because I'm currently helping to recruit the Crown Racing team for this year's season, which has been a bit of fun. Yeah, that's where you could do it. Strava group, WhatsApp group, all that good stuff. Yep, patreon.com/talking triathlon. James Bale, let's get into it, mate. There's so many things to catch up on. And I think the obvious place to start is T100 Vancouver, because that is the race that we should have spoken about last week and we didn't. Let's go.
I watched this race. I watched both the live coverage events. I got a bit sleepy towards the end of the women's race because it was getting a bit late in the UK. But yeah, I enjoyed watching them. Nothing particularly dramatic happened in either race, but I did enjoy the experience of watching it, which I thought, well, on reflection afterwards, I thought was quite telling because it was, I've been waiting for those races that I can enjoy watching without needing something particular to happen. I thought they were both quite good examples of a workmanlike race taking place.
Mate, I'll
And
tell you what.
I
You say nothing very dramatic happened. What are you talking about? Something extremely dramatic happened in the women's race in particular, and that is our favorite, Jessica Learmonth, got on the podium, mate.
that was going to be my talking point for the women's race. We hadn't got there yet.
I heard you say, like, what are you look, I know in the lead up to this, I went out pretty hard saying that I thought Mike Kingma was going to um, win this race. And I still think that give her a couple of maybe a year or whatever, the way I look at how I explained the race was going to happen. And I think with the exception of my performing the role I thought she would, it went the way I said it would, where you had that big group out of the water that split into two groups of three, and I expected somebody like I actually think I said Jess to probably drop off and then the other two hold on. It pretty much went that way, to be honest, mate. Where you had that group at the front, most of them held on. Taylor Knibb just absolutely was on one. Jess went with her, which is incredible. And then you had Julie run through who couldn't close down the gap to Taylor Knibb. So yeah, I think it was a yeah, it was a yeah, nothing. The script was followed, I suppose. Where we were sort
Yeah,
of
that's
talking
kind
about
of what
maybe
I
the script
mean.
not being
It was
followed.
a good example of a bunch of really high quality athletes executing and demonstrating a really sort of workmanlike race, but it was captivating enough to really capture my interest and keep me watching. I did get a message from Maya afterwards, actually, said she was a bit sad and a bit disappointed, and she'd been trying to get on top of that diaphragm issue for a while, and she thought that stopping on the course might help that, but it wouldn't go away. It wouldn't leave her alone.
I've I know you listen sometimes. You have such a future with this distance. Like this isn't me. I'm not just saying this out of like to be controversial or contrary. I genuinely think that you look at those athletes and you like not to say that Mai Kinmei isn't a very good short distance athlete. She's exceptional. She's won WTCS races, multiple podiums. I just feel like the way she races naturally suits the longer stuff better. And I know that, I mean, something that I was talking with Maya not that long ago either, and she was saying that it's actually really hard to TT in the Netherlands. I had no idea about that. I think that once, like a lot of
Why?
these sort of athletes,
Why is it
sorry,
so hard to TT in the Netherlands?
I think it was just lots of like dodgy traffic because they've got the bike lanes, but they expected to use a lot, so it's not that easy to actually ride on
Oh,
the
okay. So
roads.
yeah, no one likes you using anything but the bike lanes, and
Yeah,
the
and
bike
they're
lanes are
windy and
set up
stuff.
for slow commuters.
Yeah, so she was just saying this, but I think that like a lot of these athletes who had sort of got to, are they doing short course, are they doing long course? They can have a level of success, but it's not until they truly commit, which I understand can be quite intimidating because they've got a lot that they're in that certain
Yeah.
system.
I mean, she was up there, wasn't she? She was
Yeah.
up there on the swim. She was up there on the bike, and this diaphragm thing sounds like just from a really high level, sounds like maybe a nutrition issue adapting to this longer style of racing.
But yeah, Taylor Knibb back to winning. We were sort of starting to
She
question her a little
did.
bit.
Absolutely. But like you say, the most exciting bit of the race for me, the most kind of emotional bit of the race for me was watching Jess Learmonth do what she did and the steps she's taken between the last race when she was swimming and biking and then capitulating on the run because she had that calf injury and she didn't have the run form, so she was falling back. Watching her, you know, in such a short space of time go from that to this, where she's fighting to hold on to second place. She's getting chased down by Julie Derron. It was really exciting watching that gap, get less and less, and what you could see how much effort Jess was putting in and how hard she was trying to maintain that position, and she lost it just at the end. Um, but to finish on the podium, remarkable. Loved it. Loved to see it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm just looking at the splits right now. Julie Darren ran like an absolute beast. Like she was the fastest run split by bloody hell. So she ran a 103. Ash Jenner, who was second fastest, ran a 107. Who was second fastest? Probably someone. Where's second fastest? Second fastest was a 103.51 to Danielle Kleiser. So, we've got Taylor Knibb running a 107, which is good. So she's, 3.5 minutes faster than Taylor Knibb. But, Taylor Knibb rode, it's, to be honest, between Julie and Taylor, it was the swim. 2.5 minutes in the swim, 3 minutes in the bike, and then the run, she was, 3 minutes faster. So, yeah, I think that swim power is going to have an impact on the race. And, we spoke about Ash Gentle last time we recorded too. I feel like this just seems to be the norm, and unfortunately for Ash, the swim has become so much more relevant at this distance of racing that she was
Especially when
similar
you've
to
got a group of fast swimmers,
and
a
bikers.
group of fast spinners working together who are all can follow that up on the bike, like you say. That carries that speed and momentum into that part of the race, and they just stay away.
Yeah. So plenty of interest. I think again, I feel like the broadcast is really good, to be honest.
Yeah,
Like
so do
truly
I.
everything about it I watched, I really liked. The
I think
core. I mean,
Vicky was great
yeah,
on that broadcast.
yeah, I really think so too. I would love to see them bring in Will McCloy, and I joke about it a bit, but like genuinely, I think that we'll talk about him a little bit when we talk about Cairns.
Do we
Uh,
have to talk about him? We talk about him enough, don't we? He
yeah,
gets
but
enough.
we probably should do some of it publicly, not just privately. Like we like to talk about him. No, I think that this was a successful event. Uh, yeah, the women's race was great. What about the men's race, mate?
Yeah. The men's race, 2 seconds. Yeah, the men's race was, I thought, less exciting, less interesting. It didn't capture me like the women's race did. But you know, when you've got some fast runners at the front, you've got Jelle Geens working his way up through the run group, catches on. Marten Van Riel goes with him, stays with him for as long as he can, but ultimately Jelle had the run form to run Marten Van Riel off his heels and took the win. So it was Jelle Geens, Marten Van Riel ahead of Mika Noodt, who had to serve a penalty.
Yeah, did you see there was that clip that the PTO put up where Mika Noodt was running with Martin Van Riel, and Mika said to Martin, "Come on, let's run up. We can get back to me. Get back to me." Martin's like, "I don't think we can, mate." Did you see that clip?
No, I didn't know.
So it was really interesting to see that. I mean, Yellow Gaines, running a, a minute, over a minute 20 faster than Martin, and then even faster than Mika. He's so dangerous. Actually, rode
Yeah,
faster than Martin Van Riel too, which is nuts.
he really is. He really is a dangerous athlete, isn't he?
So
You
little and
know.
compact. Uh, Antonio Benito Lopez, I think, was sort of like he's one of those guys that when he got the wild card this year, we're a bit like he seems, he won one of the Ironman races, Pro Series races last year. He's doing that thing where he's up or thereabouts at lots of different events at different distances at the moment. So that was good to see. One of the athletes that I was curious to see was that Panagiotis Bididos. He was well off the run pace. I'm not sure if something went wrong.
I
Maybe it's just the
fucking
fact that.
love his name, mate.
Do you want to have a go
I
of
do.
saying it?
I'm a huge fan of a Greek name.
Patagonia, Panagiotis Bididos. Do
Yeah.
you feel like maybe that this is one of those athletes that sort of struggles with the bigger draft zone? That 20-meter draft zone does impact certain athletes a bit more, because that would make a bit
Yeah,
of sense.
maybe. Maybe, but I mean, he's probably also just, he's out there, he's finishing in the top 10, he's getting used to this style of racing. He's relatively new to it. I think top 10 for the moment is fine. He probably wouldn't agree, but I think we got to give him a little bit of rope.
I was disappointed to see Miguel Hidalgo not finish. Again, another guy that very interested, swam front pack and then rode okay, not terribly. Again, relatively new to the TT bike,
Yeah.
and then
Yuri
not
Kulin
finished
as
the run.
well. It was a shame to see him pull out so early. I think he had an issue with his shoulder, didn't he?
I'm not sure. I did see him pull out. Jake Birtwistle, never
Your
picking him
favorite,
again.
mate.
Nope. Nope.
Multiple picks.
Nope. Morgan Pearson, fastest swim. Firstly, that surprised me.
Yeah,
He
it
is,
surprised me as well. Well, yeah, what's
he,
he doing putting the fastest swim in?
well, this is the thing with Morgan Pearson. He can be like, watch him at WTCS. He is sometimes front pack, not always. Like, he either is or isn't. There's no, like, he's not like a front pack or, he's either front pack or he's quite far back. So he put the fastest swim and the fastest run, but then was 5 minutes slower on the bike and lost by 4 minutes. So you can tell what cost Morgan Pearson the win there. And I
Yeah.
think that that's something that when he works it out, those losses on the bike will come down, and then we're going to see him featuring a lot more. Uh,
Yeah, he's got these sort of the makings of like if he could get hold of that bike to a level that brings him in line with the others or even a little bit, one of the better bikers, then he's got the makings of a Sam Long that actually works.
because he can swim.
'Cause he can
It's
swim,
true.
yeah.
You make a valid point though. Like a very, very good runner. Sam Long didn't really feature much, and to be honest, Sam Long only rode 2 minutes faster than Morgan anyway. So Sam was sort of well off the pace.
Yeah.
29, 26 swim compared to 24's and 25, so quite far down. And then he rode a 149 compared to 146s, so he's 3 minutes behind the pace. And
Yeah.
uh, I
Bogan
think,
Bogan was the fastest bike of the day after his victory last time out,
mm,
finishing sixth. Um, Everybody was talking about him going into the race as a potential favorite, which I think he was, but
I
it
think I
just goes
picked
to
him,
show
to be
how
honest.
much that victory took out of him.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, um, there we go. T100 Vancouver. As I said, I enjoyed
What are
these.
the standings? What are the standings, mate? The standings. Julie
Please.
Derron's leading in the women's ahead of Taylor Knibb, ahead of Kate Woff. And on the men's, Martin Van Riel is leading Jelle Geens ahead of Rico Bogan. Which is
Cool.
interesting that Martin Van Riel is leading because he hasn't won one. He's had two second places. One in Singapore, second place in Singapore, second place in Vancouver.
Didn't
Jelle Geens has had um, no points in Singapore, second place in San Francisco, and a win in Vancouver. So
was
that 0 points is is keeping him ahead of Martin Van Riel,
wasn't
keeping him
there a
in.
race? Sorry, wasn't there a season of Super Try? I actually think it might have been Jess Learmonth. It's the year that she did really well, and Georgia Taylor Brown ended up winning the series. I don't know if this is right. I might be saying this, and people are going to go, "You're wrong." But I feel like Georgia Taylor Brown won the series without winning a race, and Jess came second, but she won two races. There was something where it was just that Georgia had been so consistently up there, and Jess had
Yeah, I
like
think
one
it
race where
was.
she
Yeah.
wobbled. So it does show that you can go, you could go
Do
through
you
something like
think
this.
this flipping back? I know we're flipping all over the place, but flipping back to the women's race, do you think Taylor Knibb needed that,
Yeah.
or do you think she's such a relaxed individual that she was on top of her?
You you have interviewed her more than I have. So I have not
It's true.
spoken to Taylor Knibb for many years. I don't see her as a relaxed person. Like my perception of her is that she's very not relaxed. So do you think that is the case?
I think there is a distinct difference between how she presents and how she is.
Okay.
I think she has a quite a frantic way of presenting when she's
Mm,
talking, when she's coming
correct.
across. But I also think that if you speak to her and listen to what she's saying and her answers, she's quite good at compartmentalizing performances and understanding, it's a journey.
Okay. Yeah, I think she needed it though because she didn't she's not just been like barely but like she got absolutely smashed in Texas. And we've seen her so dominant this distance and she hasn't been. It was good. It's just a bit of a remember, like I'm still here. And I think that the way what I find is going to probably continue to be a bit of a theme for this show in the coming months is this women's racing Kona and the lead up to it and the way that everything is going to happen around it. But if we had that like imaginary finish line, you've got the sort of the pieces on your board moving ahead who you think's currently you sort of got the best shot. This certainly does go. Okay, yeah, okay. Taylor Knibb's back up there in terms of one of those athletes. I'm not that she never was, but I think based on previous performances, I'd sort of said it's between Kat Matthews and Lauren Phillip. And yeah, so suddenly Taylor's like, no, no, I'm still here. And yes, it's not an Ironman, but we probably won't see her race another Ironman until Kona. And so, yeah, I think it's good. It's just a good reminder that you can still win a race by biking off the front, uh, which has worked for in the past. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in Hawaii. Other races that have happened. Let's talk about one that happened down here. The Pro Series continued. Ironman Cairns, the race in paradise. Blah 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 blah. What do you think about Ironman Cairns, mate?
As with your experience of Vancouver, because of the time zones, it's not a race I was able to watch live, so I know the results. Did you watch this race?
I did not watch this race live because fuck that. I cannot commit 8 hours of my life to watching an Ironman anymore. And I've said this from previous episodes, and I really believe it. One of the great things that Ironman do now with their Pro Series races is they do a highlights package, a 45-minute highlights package. So I've watched the highlights package, and to be honest, I think it's great. Yeah, I got to you sort of see all the racing. Yeah, we've spoken about. Look, the other thing is the reason I don't is because we have spoken ad nauseum about the problems with an Ironman broadcast. It's not very viewer friendly. So yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing. I definitely tracked it,
Is
and then
it
I've
the
watched the
highlights package?
highlights.
Is it just 45 minutes of adverts?
Surprisingly
They
not.
just
I don't think I
take
saw
the
it.
advert breaks out and put them together into a little package.
No, so what they actually did is they just took out all the parts that didn't have an advert, and that's 45 minutes. And then
Okay.
the other 7 hours 15 is just the ads. So it's actually not a highlights package. It's just this is the actual race. It's the best way to watch it. Before we talk about the actual race, I do want to talk about Will because we spoke about this is Will McCloy's first attempt at an Ironman broadcast, and I thought he did exceptionally well. And what I found funny was, so Will wasn't in the in commentary. That was Matt Lieto and Crowe, but Will was like the on the side of the course guy. And so many times, even on the 45 minutes I watched, Will was so good at commentating, even from the side of the course, that they just let him go. So he was basically commentating like he was the commentator, but doing it on the side of the. It was brilliant to watch, and he like he knows so much about who these athletes are and what's going on with them that he can just like. I don't think that the other guys who've done Ironman broadcasting have ever met someone as well prepared as Will, and they were
No,
probably caught
I
off guard by
I
it.
just so happened to listen to your interview with India Lee
Yeah,
a couple of days ago actually when I was out for one of my long runs. I just, put it on and did my zone two old man shuffle run to your podcast and listening to Will. I mean, I've worked with Will in the past at Super League. I know how I've seen him sit for hours in a canteen just going through bits of paper. That was back in 2017, 2018. And at that time, he didn't know a huge amount about the triathlon. So there were a couple of times where he asked me for steers on things. So I'd sit and tell him who's who and what did what. But nowadays, I know he's well up there already with his triathlon knowledge. Plus, listening to him on that interview talk about the kind of the over prepare tick he's got in his life, where it's just like it's kind of like if you have a really good performance on a race and you just so happen to wear your lucky red pants that day, you associate that with that. And in his mind, he associates being able to do a good job with over preparing. So long may that continue, because that preparation is uh is really noticed by those of us who watch the sport and
exactly.
notice the difference in quality when you're listening to somebody talk about it with that level of preparation and that level of knowledge.
Well, I think what you notice, and this is probably the example of what we see, and this is why we get a bit frustrated by what we watch with the Ironman broadcast, is they don't talk about the athletes. They end up just going back to like their safety net. Like they'll talk about the technical aspects of, oh, their run
Cadence.
cadence or like,
Yeah.
because they don't know enough about these athletes and they don't really
Yeah.
like, and there's not
She's wearing
really
it. Look
enough.
at she.
Yeah, or
He's
there's not
wearing
really enough in the race to talk about there's only moments. And that's why when they get to those, that's why I also find that when we get to those moments, and I speak about the Cat Matthews Taylor Knibb pass in Texas, why it was so disappointing was because in a race that has so few things that are actually exciting, how you can drop the ball so badly on what is actually an exciting moment is almost unforgivable to me. And it showed Will's presence there. And again, I do another podcast with Will. Like Will's a friend of mine. He's a friend of both of ours. But I genuinely think that it can be done. Like Will got paid the same that other commentators do, and he did the work. So that that should be the standard that we're expecting, right? And yeah, I think that honestly, mate, if you get the chance, watch the highlights package. It's 45 minutes.
it.
It's
Yeah, I
it's
will. I
it's a
will.
he's on the he's there's this brilliant moment on the run where I think it's when the guy who wins it, Matthew Marquardt, passes. Who did he pass? It might have been Nick Thompson, and it's just in front of Will, or it's about to happen right in front of Will. So you get to. It's such a good example of what I'm talking about. Uh,
I mean, we
but
do sound like the Will McCloy fan club. I do feel like I'm blowing smoke up his ass because,
well,
as a Brit,
well,
I feel like
but,
someone I've got a lot of time for. I should really just take the piss out of him constantly because that's how we show affection. But do you think Crowe was sitting in the commentary booth being like,
fuck.
"Fuck, that's what charisma sounds like."
He's probably got how many world titles has he won? None. I got five of the bastards. No, yeah, it was very different. But let's talk about the actual racing because this was actually pretty good race, mate, to be honest. Let's start with the women's race, uh, where Jackie Herring won the race in 8:42.15 ahead of Hannah Berry, 8:46.10 ahead of Lotta Wilms in third place with an 8:47.04. Like I said, mate, especially that second, third race was pretty tight, but overall was a good performance. Jackie Herring came down. I didn't realize this. Do you know that she was in Germany. It was at Hamburg, and I heard that the reason she punctured was that protesters had put glass on the course, and that's what shredded her tire. That's why she had to withdraw. So she had to make the last minute decision, come to Cairns for the Pro Series points. But it appears
Fuck's
as
sake.
it was worth it.
I mean, what are you protesting?
Yeah,
What are you
I don't.
protesting? What are you protesting to an extent that you're gonna endanger someone's life? Because that, in my opinion, is what you do when you put glass on a course and people are ripping around it at high speed on high performance bikes on the
Mm.
edge of what they can do. Fuck you.
Yeah. So the race we saw, there was a decent. There's a few athletes that first out of the water. Rebecca Clark had the fastest swim, as she often does, and she was there with Lotta Wilms, who had the fastest bike, who rode a 4:43. Jackie was pretty close behind, 4:44. Same as Hannah Berry, who they seem to swim, relatively close to each other. Uh, but yeah, Jackie sort of got on the run, ran a 2:56 for the second fastest run of the day, ran away with it. Now, there was a really interesting moment with Lotta Wilms, who got off the bike first, and she had a pretty substantial, sort of 2-ish minute gap or three, like decent gap. And her watch wasn't where she needed it. And she literally spends 2 minutes in transition trying to have them find her bag to get her Garmin so she can wear it on the run. And I just remember thinking, what the fuck are you doing, mate? You're leading an
Yeah.
Ironman. Just run,
I
man.
don't know. I could devil's advocate that, I suppose, with the whole if you've got a strategy and a pace you want to run, maybe it's a safety blanket to be really kind of like this is what I need to be able to execute. But if you need that, then I would be working hard to not need that anymore.
Yeah, I think it just
I
shows a
mean,
slight.
we're both shitty age groupers. I speak for both of us there, mate.
Correct. Yep.
I think I could quite comfortably do a half marathon or a marathon without needing a watch to tell me what pace I'm doing. I'm just by feel and years of experience of knowing what my body feels like and whether I'm running a pace I can sustain or not. I may not get the very best out of myself on that day, but I wouldn't. I'd rather do that than have to stop at the start and search for something for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, however long.
Yeah, it was bizarre, but yeah, Jackie Herring with the win, which is great to see. Hannah in second. Into the men's race, and the men's race was again not free of drama, mate. So Matthew Marquardt from America won the race. Now again, I'm not sure what you have or haven't seen. He was one of the first, second fastest swim behind Jamie Riddle, so he came out with Jamie, and he's cramping in transition. T1, he's literally doing like the Tin Man straight leg walk because his quads are
There
cramping so
go us
bad.
all, mate. That's the story of my life in triathlon. Cramping as I try to take my wetsuit off.
Uh, and to then watch, I mean, honestly, watching him cramp the way he was, it looked like it was game over, right? Like, okay, this guy's done. So to see him turn it around and win the thing, I thought was pretty exceptional. He ran a 2:39, which is very good. Finished in 7:50:41. Second place was Nick Thompson, Australia's fastest Ironman athlete at the moment, 7:53:31. Third place, Henrik Gosch from Finland, 7:57:38. Fourth place was Jamie Riddle, who came in at 8 hours and 15 seconds. Jamie ran at 2:44, huge improvement from what happened to him in South Africa. But mate, this was a hell of a race. And the other one that I haven't mentioned in fifth place, and I'll mention him now, Matt Hansen, 8:01:13. He ran a 2:30 marathon,
Oh
mate.
yeah. Hell of a run from that man, hey.
Now,
God, just wish he could bike.
before well, this is what I wanted to before we talk about the actual race. Looking at the look, I'm just going to go through the bike splits. 4:14, 4:10, 4:18, 4:20, 4:13, 4:20. I haven't mentioned Matt Hansen's bike split because that was 4:30:59. So he's 15 minutes, in fact, 20 minutes slower than the fastest bike rider, but over 10, 12 minutes. Now I look at that and he ran 9 minutes faster than anyone else. Is that him? Did he have a bonus for a sub 2:30 marathon or something here?
Fuck
Like,
knows, but I mean, because also if you, it's not just the bike. I mean, if you look at the swim, starting from the first place finisher, 49:35, 52:14, 51:49, 49:25, then you get to Matt Hansen in fifth, it's
55.
55:30. So he's the slowest swim by a good margin in that top five. He's
Yeah.
the slowest bike by 15 minutes at least. 20 minutes off the fastest bike, but 15 minutes off everyone else. it blows my mind the
Well,
amount of work he's giving himself to do when he gets to that run. And he's capable of such a strong run. It's
but he's
unreal.
he's also capable of a stronger bike because we've seen him do really well at 70.3s. It's what that's why I'm asking is that this to me seems extra off. Like that's why I'm
Well,
wondering if
you think he was just
free pedaling
um
basically at the end or something.
yeah,
Because I can't understand like
last crank.
a 430 bike split. Like Matt's, I've been riding with Matt Hance. Like he's not that. I mean, I do love, and I've said it many times in the past. Is why is Matt Hansen so slow in the water? It's because he's saving his arms for the run. I still think that is one of the best things I've ever seen. I told him that when I was with him in Nice. I said, this is this tweet that I saw, and it still makes me laugh." And he had a chuckle about it too. Yeah, Mike Phillips, who I picked for the win. Mike was a bit crooked the week and just not having it. So Mike finished in seventh, but was well off the pace. Uh, but Matthew Marquardt, mate. Nick Thompson, I think, also deserves a lot of credit here. This is a guy that I'd sort of assumed was just another, it'll be okay in Australia, but not not too much. This is a pretty decent race, and I feel like I'm looking forward to seeing him maybe venture out of Australia and do some bigger races to see where he's at because he set the fastest Australian time somewhere last year. I can't remember where. So yeah, Jamie Riddle coming, strength to strength.
Jamie
Watch out for
Riddle
Jamie.
is he's someone I'm seeing a lot. I like his content, mate. He puts good content out.
Again, episode of the Endurers with Jamie Riddle, highly recommended. It's a good
I wasn't
episode.
specifically referring to that content, but yeah,
I'm
I'm
aware.
sure it's great. I haven't listened to that one yet.
No, Jamie's a good guy. Really gave me shit that he hasn't been on this podcast yet. So Jamie, we will definitely get you on, mate.
His
Again,
time zone suits me better than you, doesn't it? I mean, they're only an hour ahead of us, I think. So
yeah, you can do it. Although I'm in
no, they're
Europe for
not.
2 weeks.
They're 12 hours ahead of us. Sorry.
No, they're
So
not. What are you talking? It's South Africa, mate. He's basically the same time zone as you.
yeah, about an hour ahead of us. And then I corrected myself incorrectly. So I'm sticking with my first answer, motherfucker.
You said 12 hours.
I said 1 hour first, and then I went 12
Ah,
hours, and then I
okay, okay.
realized I'd gone wrong, and
I'm
so I
sick,
was
mate.
just
Give me a break. I'm not feeling well. Uh, no, I think that Jamie, as we've said, very young. The 2:44 marathon is a huge fifth fastest run. That's a huge boost for him. I think that those steps in the right direction are happening, and I think that maybe by the end of the year we'll see him winning or podium in at least at an Ironman. But watch out, watch this space. I think Jamie Riddle is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the next couple of years, which is exciting. There's a lot of these guys that are coming through, which is cool to see.
Can we talk about my
Uh,
favorite result of recent times now?
yes, I know what it is. Let's do it. Iron Man. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. Do it.
Ironman Les Sables de Vendée, I think. I would
Jesus.
assume if you were French, you'd say it like that, I think. Forgive me, any French listeners. We don't have French listeners. They don't listen to anything outside their own barriers, outside their own boundaries. Yeah, this was a race where India Lee stretched her legs, mate. She was at the front of the race throughout. On the bike, she had built a lead of around 20 minutes going into T2, and she maintained that and absolutely dominated this race. India Lee won it in 8:24:37 with Els Visser in 8:44:35. Remarkable victory for India, getting her slot to Kona and first Ironman win for that athlete.
Yeah. Fastest swim, fastest bike, fastest run. This is this is what we've expected. I know that one of the patrons, Tom Epton, has been saying for a long time, Indili is going to be very good at Ironman. Yeah, here she is, and I think I probably expected a little bit the gap she had off the bike, which, as you said, was like 16, 17 minutes would come down.
About
I thought
17 minutes off the bike, and then
no, she
she
increased
picked
it.
that up. Yeah,
She actually
yeah.
increased
There
it.
was a bit of me that was like, okay, well, that's a brilliant lead to have, unassailable in my opinion, as long as she doesn't capitulate or end up walking. But I thought that gap would come down, and I thought the other athletes would put a run in, but she didn't. She increased that lead. Um, she actually sent me a message and said she's felt so good all day, other than the last hour of the run. Won an Ironman! Exclamation mark! Crazy.
You know, the other thing that is worth factoring in, because again, if you look at that time in isolation, you'd be like, oh, it's good, but it's sort of bit off what we've seen others do. She was 20 minutes off the front, mate. Like, not being pushed at all. You put her in a race where she's suddenly got others around her, that time goes down even more. Got a Kona slot now as well, which I think, again, talking at that dynamic, we have another front pack swimmer now who's also extremely strong on the bike. That front group of this Kona race is getting more and more firepower into it, which is going to make that race. Like, okay, is she going to ride with Taylor Knibb? Probably not. Is she going to ride with a Cat Matthews, a Lucy Giles? Potentially. She's certainly going to swim with like Lucy and that, I think. So, or thereabouts. Like, it's just that front of that race is getting really, really interesting. So again, I just love that India did this because I love India Lee and I love to see her do well. And this is not, this is not like, this is what I expect of her, if that makes sense. So it's like, no, no, this is good because you're doing what I think you should be doing. Performing at the level that I know you're at. So yeah, really great stuff.
Going to Kona, going to be part of that race. Absolutely love it, mate. I was stoked for this win. I couldn't have been happier, I don't think.
Oh, she's just honestly one of the nicest people doing the sport. So as you know, I highly recommend listening to the interview I did with her recently on the Endurance. Another good one.
Very good. I got a mention as well.
Did you?
Yeah, I got a mention on that one.
I
Very,
thought you're the
very good
patron saint,
interview.
mate. I try to sneak in a mention of you in most things I do. So actually, I'm going to make sure that as one of those faces on my new tri suit, I'm going to make sure that I sneak that on.
It's mate, they haunt me.
Mate, I can't help it if you chose to scream for 10 kilometers and let the cameras capture it. It still makes me chuckle. Are there any other races that happen that you want to talk about? Do you want to turn our attention to what is
No,
coming
that'll
up?
do. Let's look to the future. Let's
Let's
look to the
look to the future
future's bright,
because,
mate.
sorry,
The future's bright.
mate, there is. What the fuck is happening with Ironman Frankfurt this weekend?
Yeah, I know.
It's off the hook.
Yeah, yeah. This is going to be a good race.
Jesus Christ, is it going to be good? This is going to be exceptional.
I
I'm
just
getting the
wish
start
it
list up.
was. I wish it was the T100 broadcast team doing it,
Yeah.
because watching it will be painful. But yeah, we've got lining up for Ironman Frankfurt: Christian Blumenfeld, Patrick Lang, Magnus Ditlev, Rudi von Berg, Gustav Eden, Jonas Schomburg, Kieran Linders, Gregory Barnaby, Cam Worth, Daniel Beckergaard, Casper Storms, Kristen Hogenhag, Ben Canute, Casper Stepanak. Who else are we talking about? What other names? Robert
Clement
Lewis,
Mignon, Braden
Clement
Curry.
Mignon
I think
Fouquet.
Braden Curry's scratched, I think. I think I saw that he's not racing anymore. Nick
Um,
Nick Heldorn, David Pleasure. Jesus Christ, mate. It's not terrible, is it? But
no, it's not terrible at all. It's going to be a really interesting, exciting race, and I love to see it. I'm a Frankfurt never really fails to deliver,
ever.
but with this Pro Series in full swing now, I think it's driving these start lists to a new level, and there's so many people on there. I'm not used to this depth in an Ironman because normally for us it's used to be fairly easy. Looking at a start list of an Ironman, you'd be like, well, these are the three names. I'll pick a podium out of those three based on recent form, and you'd be able to, you know, 50-50 it really. Sometimes you'd win, sometimes you'd lose. But with this, there's so many names on there. The dynamic could shift in so many different ways that it's so much harder now to pick a winner on a race like this.
Yeah, and add some extra sprinkles on top. The fact that Patrick Lang has been injured, so we have not really seen Patrick Lang race this year. He's not racing Challenge Roth, which he traditionally does. He's opted for this instead of Challenge Roth. Same with Magnus Ditlev. Normally, we've seen him break the world record the last couple of years in Challenge Roth, so they've both opted to come to Frankfurt instead. Patrick Lang is the defender or current Ironman world champion, but then you've got these pesky Norwegians, Christian, who we always sort of expect to be up there or thereabouts. Gustav, with the slight question mark, how's he gone since the last one? Are we going to see him improve? But mate, I think it's the best start list we've seen this year. I think for a
Yeah,
race.
I agree. Yeah, I think it might be one of the best start lists outside the World Championships that I've ever seen.
Did I think I saw it was top? Was it seven of the top 10 from Kona last year on the start? Six or seven from the top 10 from Kona last year on the start list, which is just diabolical. And German Ironman races are unlike anything else. I just don't understand why it's a week from Roth. Like why these two races need to always be so fucking close to each other. Spread them out a bit. No, this is exceptional. This is very, very exciting. Let's unpack it a little bit, mate. So, what are you looking forward to seeing? What are your thoughts about what could happen at this race?
I'm looking forward to seeing Jonas Schomburg sprint out of T2, as always.
Yep, death
Um,
taxes. Jenna
yeah.
Schomburg.
Do you think Cam Worth is going to race?
No,
No.
I think again. I know I saw there was a list of scratched athletes, and I can't remember if he was one of them. Uh, let me see if I can. No, it's not there. I don't know.
No. I think I'm very interested to see how Patrick Lang performs going into this race. I think, like you say, he's had a bit of an injury, he's had a few niggles. So hopefully he's back to full form. I am expecting Christian Blumenfeld to win this.
Okay.
Recent performances, just watching him run, he looks like he's back to his belligerent best. And I love it when he races like that because he's got that kind of you need to really, really write me off on the swim and the bike. Otherwise, I'm going to run through the field and be there at the end. And he's going to be my pick for the win, I think.
Is Rasmus racing? I just saw his name was on the start list. Is he racing?
Yeah, I'm not sure. He's obviously had that slight stress injury, so
Probably not then.
yeah, not 100%.
So the exciting thing for me is probably as much as I'm excited to see Patrick Langer, is probably that Magnus Christian um, rematch after what we saw happen in Kona last year. I mean, obviously there's not Sam Laidlow, but I still think we're going to see a similar dynamic here where you'd expect Magnus to get out of the water a bit behind Christian. You're then going to have Magnus right up to Christian, and then I assume try to drop Christian. And is he going to be able to? And if he does, how much of a gap does he need without knowing that Christian can run it down? Like that to me is going to be really interesting. Then you add, because Patrick Lang is probably not going to, I don't see him as part, like feature. It's just going to become how much, what's the gap to Patrick Lang basically? And that's going to sort of determine uh, how he's going to sort of feature. Because if it's small as well, I think Patrick Lang could run totally. I mean, just imagine Patrick Lang and Christian running shoulder to shoulder, pushing each other to like a 220 something marathon. That could be pretty fireworks. I would expect, depending on the gap, that's a scenario I could actually see unfolding. It will just depend on the gaps, but I I would probably say that that's my podium would be those three. I don't know in what order. Although to be honest, Rudy von Berg has been exceptionally consistent. He's a guy that he's just good at all three sports. So if he's up there to swim, close enough on the bike and then does a decent run, he might be able to hold off somebody like Patrick Lang. Uh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyone else?
I agree. I think you've got a Christian Patrick Magnus thing, but it's the kind of race where there is such depth and so many names that it wouldn't surprise me if that gets shaken up somehow. All you need is for Patrick Lang not to be quite fully recovered and not to be running his best, not to be biking up there. Or you need someone to get some kind of mechanical or a penalty or whatever, and suddenly the cat is amongst the pigeons, as they say.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Gustav In's the uncertain thing as well. Where's Gustav at? Kieran Linders came second last year to Christian. Also, he's been doing really, really well this year. So definitely not worth writing him off. And you said it before, but legitimately, Jonas Schoenberg will be up there for the swim and bike. Like he's an absolute beast.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
he will then also impact the way the race is sort of thing. So let's do it, mate. Let's try to get some picks in. What's the picks? What's the order? How's this going to go? Who's your third place pick?
Third place, Magnus Ditlev.
God, I think we're going to be similar. No, I'm going to go Patrick Lang.
Okay, all right.
I'll go Patrick Lang.
Second place, Patrick Lang.
I'll go Magnus Ditlev again, just
There you
just to
go.
be different.
We both think Christian's going to win it, don't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so
Did you
too.
know? I don't know if you actually know this. This is something that I only recently discovered again. Do you know he's actually won a WTCS World title?
Has he? Fuck.
2021 WTCS World Champion. I did.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Everybody focuses on those other, multiple
Should probably
world.
get like a t-shirt printed or something, shouldn't he?
I think he should get a bumper sticker on his car that's just like WTCS World Champion 2021. Yeah, things you didn't know. Yeah, I think Christian's going to do really well. I hope we see Gustav take that other step towards the Gustav of the past. because, yep, I love it. Daniel Beckergaard, I hope he has a good race. Again, I always want to see Daniel do well. We've seen signs of it. He did that 70.3 recently where he was pretty good. Clement Mignon
Yeah,
has been
I'd really like to see him race, be right up there. Watching him get that podium in London at the T100 last year was, you could see how emotional he was and how much it meant to him. And you know, I'd really like to see him back fighting at the front.
Rudy von Berg, I think, has a really good shot at trying to win the world title this year. And I think that's because the race is in Nice again, and it's 2 years after last time. And I think that he's become a better athlete. So this will be a good opportunity to see how he's going. To me, he doesn't need to win this race. I don't expect him to win this race, but I think if he is up there and has a good, solid performance, that'll be a really positive step towards a potential victory in Nice because that's his home course and he knows that course like the back of his hand. So I think he could be a real threat on that course.
Mm.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, there's plenty of other races happening this weekend, some that we don't really want to talk about, and some that we do. Let me bring up the start list because it is actually, I don't know if you know this, mate. It is the 70.3 European Championships this week happening in
Is it
Jönköping in Sweden.
Jönköping?
Jönköping in Sweden. Yeah, Iron 70.3 World Champs. It used to be in Elsinore, and I think a lot of people didn't realize that. I know some of our patrons were like, "That's not world champs, European champs." It's European champs. So I start this: Harry Palmer, Robert Callan, Sam Dickinson, Anthony Costes, Tor Bendix Madsen. Any other names that I recognize? Not really. In the women's, we've got Carolyn Pole, Laura Madsen, Natalie Van Coverden, Marlene de Boer. Marlene de Boer seems to be on every start list going around at the moment, which you love to see. Uh, yeah. What are your thoughts about this one? Not heaps, to be honest.
Yeah, no. Being that I only really learnt it was happening about 18 seconds ago when you mentioned it.
Mate, you're a fiend for that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, yeah. I've been paying most of my attention to Frankfurt and the events of last weekend, to be honest. Yeah, obviously, love to see racing. Interesting to see what develops. Um, my brain hasn't retained the names that you gave me enough to really
Sam
keep them in
Dickinson
mind.
wins the men's. Natalie Van Covenant wins the women's. They're my
There
picks.
you go. There you go. Hear me now, quote me later.
Well, there's another 70.3 that's happening this weekend in Europe as well. Isn't the European champs, but has a very strong field. Actually, sorry, Jönköping might be next weekend, to be honest. Have I got that right? Yeah, that's next weekend. So I don't know why I've done that. Sorry, that's my bad. Anyway, that's what's happening next weekend. This weekend, you've got uh I'm sick. Give me a break. Ironman Nice 70.3 is happening. And this start list, you'll probably know a little bit more about Jimbo. Because on the men's race, you've got Kyle Smith, Martin Van Riel, Leon Chevalier, Nicholas Mann, Clement Mignon, Harry Palmer, Anthony Costes. Man, there's a lot of names coming up on lots of start lists. Anyone else that I recognize? Magnus Manor. No, then there's just a whole list of names that I don't really know.
It's a
In the
large
women's,
start list for the men, isn't it?
Jess Learmonth, Katie Kivjova, Sarah Perez-Sala. I know Mike King was a scratch. Leah Riccobono, Laura Adel, Julie Lemelo, Rachel Brown, Patron. Uh, yeah. What do you think of this one?
That's a different Rachel Brown.
Is it?
Yeah, that's the triathlete Rachel Brown who won the race a few weeks ago,
Well, there you
as
go.
opposed to the patron duathlete Rachel Brown.
There you go. Love you anyway. What do you think of this? Uh,
Yeah, no, interesting race. 70.3 Nice, beautiful part of the world, and we've got some names in here, haven't we? On the men's side, Carl Smith, Martin Van Riel, Leon Chevier, um, Clément Mignon, Filet. They're gonna be fighting for that one. I'm really interested to see how Jessie Learmonth continues her kind of curve upwards. Um, because she just seems to be going from strength to strength, and I can't wait until her run is absolutely dialed in and she's a world beater again, because that's where I can see it going. And I think when that is that way, I know this is a 70.3 Ironman, but when she has got her run dialed in, she's going to be a T100 destroyer, and I just
of
love
course,
watching her improve.
course suits her as well. I think Jess is so strong on the
Yeah,
bike that
oh, absolutely.
I would expect her to win this. I think based on the fact that her run was good enough to hold on for
Yeah,
third. In
agree.
I think she's going to have a pretty substantial gap. To be honest, I think she's going to ride a lot harder than most of these women. Again, Maya Kingmay, if she was there, I think would have probably gone, and we would have seen a really interesting battle between those two. But yeah, I think Maya's scratched, so that won't happen. Yeah, I'm just going to say Jess for me. The men's race,
And
however,
you're right in terms of the bike really suiting Jess. It's Nice is, I think, the most beautiful place I've ridden my bike. I love it. I love riding around there. And
what are
yeah,
you?
man,
Are
you
you?
didn't explore properly. You went the wrong
Obviously,
way.
yeah. I
You
did not
fucked off
enjoy
the wrong
riding.
way.
I did not enjoy riding in this. I rode the course, which was crap.
Yeah, it's beautiful around there. And I think yeah, those undulations, the climbs, the descents, it will really suit Jess's strengths.
The men's race, we've got Carl Smith, Martin Van Riel, Leon Chevalier, etc. Uh, Martin Van Riel's going for Nice Ironman World Champs this year, so I'm guessing that's probably why he's doing this race. What do you want to you? Yeah, does he need to win this race for you to consider him a threat for World Champs later on in the year?
No, he doesn't have to
No,
win this for me to consider Martin Van Riel a threat for. He is a threat. I can tell you that now. He's a threat for the 17.3 worlds.
no.
Um,
Ironman World. Sorry, I'm talking about.
oh, sorry for yeah, yeah, of course. Yes, no, he doesn't need to win this for me to consider him a
We're
threat.
crushing it. We're both on absolute
Yeah,
fire this week, aren't we?
he's already a threat for the Ironman World Championships in Nice. He's Martin Van
Okay.
Riel. He has earned that already.
Hmm.
Um, he could go and use this as a recce for that race, and
Hmm.
not be top form, not be putting out his best. I can't imagine he will. But if he has a solid result here, then all he's got from that is information gathering, which is no bad thing.
Yeah, cool. Kyle Smith, we still got that penalty in Vancouver. Again, I think the course suits Kyle. I expect we're going to see those guys probably off the front. Leon is a very strong bike, but swim lets him down a little bit, so he won't be with those guys. Harry Palmer's decent. Yeah, I'm fascinated to see how it goes. I agree with what you're saying, but I'm fascinated to see how Martin goes on the course because yeah, I think that descent is a little bit different to what most other races have, and it plays such a factor in the Ironman. So I am going to be looking at this and seeing how it goes, and I guess working out thoughts about Nice because he was good in South Africa, but he was wasn't really a threat for Magnus. Magnus was what third in Nice 2 years ago. So yeah, again, Martin Van Riel is absolutely a threat nearly everything he does, which is yeah, which is good.
He's a perma threat, isn't he?
Exactly.
Even when he's not winning, he's still leading the series.
Other things that are happening this weekend, I don't really want to talk about. We've got the World Long Distance Champs, which confuses me because we've got the T100 Long Distance. Anyway, so that's happening. I don't really know any of the athletes that are racing it, so I don't really want
Any
to
of
talk
them,
about
mate.
it.
Any of
Antonio
them.
Benito Lopez was on there, I think.
Yeah.
He's won that before.
Challenge Walshy.
No, I don't care.
That's the race you were going to do, wasn't it?
No, that was Challenge Sandefjord.
Oh, okay.
I think that's us pretty much done, Jimbo.
How are we doing
If
for
pe
time, man?
We're pretty much there, mate. So if you want to wrap things up, if you want to find out more, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, thanks for listening. If you want to support the show, jump on at patreon.com/talking triathlon. If you want to follow Tim, he's at tford14 on Instagram, and I'm at bale.james85 on Instagram. We are on Instagram as at talking triathlon. If you want to join the Patreon group, you'll get access to the monthly bonus episode and the social group and the ever-present WhatsApp group, which has got all the best people in it, but
It
not
certainly
Rachel
does.
Brown, the triathlete who won that race a few weeks ago.
Correct. The other one.
The other one.
Again, it's just like we've got the James Bale who screamed during a run. We don't have the other James Bale. And yeah, don't get those two confused. Again, I apologize. I'm not well. Uh, the other thing I was going to say
So
is that I will be.
the other day, I did a bike to run workout, and because I was doing a bike to run workout, I couldn't be fucked to get changed between the two. So I wore a tri suit, and the first one that came to hand was that one that you had me made. It was just on top of the
No,
pile,
no,
so I put it
not the one I had you made. Your tri suit.
on. My
Let's
track.
let's get
So I
the name. Your tri
put
suit.
it on to do the turbo session, then hopped off the bike, and my little boy was standing there, and he's like, "Daddy, why have you got your face on your leg?"
And you said, son, I can get you one too if you like. Just wait till you see
I said,
what's
this is
coming.
what you've got to look forward to in life, mate.
I will be at Challenge Roth, not yeah, next weekend. So if anybody is going to be there, shoot us a message on Instagram. Maybe we can catch up or something. I've never been that race before, so I'm a little bit intimidated by it, but I will be there spectating and supporting some of my pro guys, which will be should be good fun. Jimbo, I think that's it this week. You couldn't come to Roth, unfortunately. Endurance is wrapped up for the season. So also, please, guys, if you haven't, I'd love you to go and have a listen. There's
Yeah.
there's 8 interviews, a ninth bonus I did with Will this week, plus the intro. Yeah, really mean a lot if you guys could go have a listen. Let me know what you think. Bit
Yeah, it
different
was
to
good. It was
this.
good. It's a good podcast. All right, mate. Have a good
Thanks,
one.
James. Talk to you later, mate.
Cheerio.